Tributes continue to pour in for struggle veteran Mendi Msimang. The former diplomat and ANC Treasurer General died yesterday after a long illness. The Presidency is working with the family to arrange his funeral. The ANC's Mathews Phosa also held the position in the party, and he joins us now. Good evening, sir. Thanks very much for your time. When I spoke to you yesterday, you were on your way to see the family. How are they coping?
The family is together. I did see them, and I was very happy that all the children and grandchildren were there, and the brothers and uncles surrounding the children and grandchildren. And they are in mourning. They've lost their father, a grandfather, and uncle. So has the nation, or the family of the ANC has lost a leader who led with a lot of dignity for many, many years. And I can walk you through the footsteps. Mendi, many people only know him as the TG. He's far more than the TG in terms of the history of our struggle. We used to be the administrator in a law firm of Oliver Tambo and Nelson Mandela. He served them very loyally. When Comrade Oliver Tambo was instructed by the movement to leave the country and go to exile, to start setting up the ANC in exile and mounting all sorts of campaigns, international isolation of the apartheid state, forming the MK outside, engineering the mass activity inside the country from outside. Comrade Mendi left for the country as well and joined him in London. And he worked for Comrade OR in London. And then, of course, he was sent to Tanganyika, which is today Tanzania. Let me tell you, and many ANC people don't even know this, he set up the head office of the ANC in Tanzania for the first time, in Dar es Salaam. Because Comrade Mendi set it up with other comrades like Duma Nokwe, Makiwane, etc. And this is not generally known by young cadres in the ANC, but this history is very important, and to his credit. And then, of course, the office he set up in the city was moved to Morogoro. That's how Morogoro came to be born. Credit to Mendi Msimang, and will forever remember all those contributions. But after that, he went back to London. And when we were operating underground, going overseas, going outside the frontline states, I met him in the London office, where he was chief rep. And he was serving the ANC, representing the ANC in that UK environment and related jurisdictions very ably. And of course, working with the entire NEC of the ANC in exile. And when we were at the conference, the first conference in South Africa of the ANC, we elected him Treasurer General. Then later he was made ambassador to London, where he was. I mean, he came first as ambassador, then became TG. Yeah.
Now, let's fast forward now to December 2007 in Polokwane. You took over as you were elected the Treasurer General of the ANC, taking over after him. I don't know if in the ANC, after conferences, you do handovers, but I would imagine that you would have had conversations with him about party matters, having taken over as the Treasurer General.
Well, you know, it was very nice to follow in his footsteps. Not an easy task, and I'll explain as we go along. There was a process of takeover, handover from him. I had to know where the secrets were lying in terms of ANC assets, in terms of possible sources of funding, and I had to know where the debts were, and I had to be initiated in that position. He did all that. And where he thought maybe I misunderstood things, he would always come back and say, Fana, here, this is what we try to do, this is what we want to try to do. And I must say, to his big credit in the ANC, Mendi formed companies which are benefiting the ANC until today with money, you know, in most difficult of times. You know, and some of them were formed very, very cleanly, like mines.
There's the front companies, as some people refer to them.
They're not front companies. They're companies where we hold shares, and we never made secret about that. Because the ANC is entitled, like any other party, to have businesses and disclose them. You know, he formed them. And okay, Tabo was formed by under Comrade Nelson Mandela. and with a number of people like Inos Mabuza and all those. Credit to them. But Mendi Msimang followed on those footsteps. So each treasurer of the ANC has left a footprint during their period, and that's his footprint. And I can tell to this day, the ANC still benefits financially from some of that footprint, to his credit. And I think we must forever, as members of the ANC, thank him. He was not loud. He didn't seek limelight. He was not showy. He was not boastful. He was not noisy. He felt he could make his point by the value of his arguments, not by the noise he makes.
Now, one of your comrades spoke yesterday about a special generation to which he belonged. And the Thabo Mbeki Foundation used words like compassion, and they used another word like humane to, among others, to describe him. Now, we are increasingly getting, with the departure of that generation, we're increasingly confronted with people of the ANC who sort of tend to, or where those values, are seemingly in short supply.
Yeah, well, it's a fair comment, Vuyo, because I think we have slowed down on political education. Wearing an ANC T-shirt doesn't make one an ANC member. With understanding its values, its history, its background and where it needs to go. One needs to expose oneself to political education. I think we have slowed down on that, and we need to increase more political education.
Can political education change someone who just wants to grab as much money as they want to? Can political education help someone who is put in a position to deliver services but simply doesn't care?
It can, because it tells you about your responsibility as a member of the ANC. The ANC cannot tolerate members who are corrupt, who steal, because they deviate from its values. It can, and we are insisting that comrades who find themselves stealing are not promoting the ANC's interest. They're promoting their personal interest. And there's a distinction between their personal interest and the ANC interest. And they need to understand where the ANC comes from, where it's going. And ANC is a very ethical organization. You talk about different generations. Have you ever heard about Mandela stealing a cent? Or Sisulu stealing a cent? Or Chris Hani stealing anybody's money? We talk about that generation and the differences. We have people here who've joined yesterday who misunderstand their responsibilities towards the people, and that's what it is.
Unfortunately, that's where we're going to leave it. Thanks very much for coming.
Thank you.
Mathews.